get sick and tired and fed up with continually having to tell people the same thing over and over again because they never seem to understand what you say? They come back in tomorrow and they say, oh, I don't quite get what you said. Or you've been very clear in telling them something and you go out and then see what they're doing and it's just totally messed up. They've got it totally wrong. Well, it's probably not them. You're probably going to step back and have a look at yourself and how you're communicating with them. You know, so much time gets wasted in people's day because they do not know how to communicate with each other. And there's some really key areas that we need to focus on communicating with each other in. And one of them is understanding how people learn. As soon as you can start to identify the learning modality of a person, you can start to work with them in that modality. Now, there's three key modalities that people learn in. And one is visual. People learn by what they see. Then you've got the auditory learners, people who learn from what they hear. And then you've got the kinesthetic learners, touch, feel, do, hands-on. Now, people can be a real mix of these three styles. They can be high in one, low in the rest, high in two, low in the others, or they can be fairly even. But if you can just start to identify in each person how they learn in one of those three areas, you can now start to work with them in those modalities. And just through a conversation, you can understand how they learn. People that use terms like, oh, I see what you mean, or I need to have a really good look at that so as I can see how I can go about doing it, is an indication that visual learning is very high modality for them. If they turn around and say, oh, I hear what you're saying, no, that rings a bell, coming across loud and clear, then they are hearing words. That indicates to you that that person learns more from what they hear rather than what they see or do. Or if someone says, oh, I can get a real feel for that, or it sends shivers up my spine. Well, they talk in words of touch, feel, stuff like that, then that indicates a kinesthetic learner. Someone who learns and the way they feel, they've got to feel it, they've got to touch, they've got to get involved in it. Now, if you can identify those words as people use them, you can now talk back in those words. You can say to someone, so how does this look to you? Can you see yourself doing this? Can you have a good look into that? Just using those sorts of words and talking in visual terms. Or how does this sound? Does this sound about right to you? Is what I'm saying coming across pretty clear, loud and clear to you? Those sort of words you can reflect back to them as you're talking. And what can you get a feel for this? What if we were to go and do? Can you feel yourself, just the paper or that in your hands, can you feel how smooth it is? Just those sorts of words and talking to people, once you've identified their modality, will help you get your message across the first time, instead of having to constantly go back and tell them time and time again. And just watch what people do. If they pick things up, to have a good look at it, to see what it's like, again, a visual learner. If they need to get their hands on and start doing it, a kinesthetic learner. If they need to hear you tell them again, an auditory learner. It's just one area that if you just take a bit of time and you understand this in each one of your team members, then you can communicate with them much better by using their modality. Just remember, people are either visual, auditory or kinesthetic learners. They're the three basic modalities. If you can understand what's the primary in people that work around you, you will communicate with them far better by communicating in that modality.